All right, here we go. Order. We've got a new segment. This is called Last Juror Standing. It's a fun thing that I thought up in my head. Might as well have some fun with it. This is my stool of decisions. Don't disrespect it. We don't have a budget around here, at least a very good one. Anyway, I've got 4 contestants. We have Brandon on the left. Nice sweater vest, buddy. Luke probably has the nicest tie here. Sorry, Mace over there. We've got Andrew, most swag. And then Yee-haw, Mason Fishel over there.
Yes, sir.
How we doing, gentlemen?
Great.
So good.
Quite swell.
Good. All right, boys. So, here are the rules. It's all about hot takes today, okay? So there's going to be 3 rounds. I want your hottest takes from baseball, basketball, and football, okay? Those rounds are going to be in those orders. Now, if any of these gentlemen have an objection, which could possibly help them from getting eliminated, by the way, the worst hot take is eliminated in round 1. That person's gone. Then round 2 of 3, and then the final round is a face-off between the last 2 jurors. So, you get 1 objection throughout the game until that final round to try to save your bacon if you think you really have something that invalidates the other hot take of someone else. All right, boys, we pretty clear on that?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's get going. Okay, first and foremost, Brandon, let's start with round 1. This is the baseball round. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be MLB, but I don't know a whole lot besides MLB, so it better be. All right, know what I'm saying? Okay, round 1, hottest baseball MLB take. Brandon Willman, go.
All right, my hot take is that instead of banning the shift and many other measures that MLB has taken to quote-unquote increase offense, the mound should have been moved back 1 foot and lowered by 6 inches.
Now, why do you think that makes all the difference?
I think, well, the reason that MLB wants to increase offense and why MLB should increase offense is because the last time the strikeouts were under 20,000 total was 1994, which is way too long ago. Nobody wants to go watch 20 dudes strike out a game. Doesn't happen that often, but it could happen with the rate we're going at. And in the Atlantic League, when they moved the mound back a foot, there was a 7.42% increase in home runs per 9 inning, which is electric offense. Slugging percentage was increased by 1.54%, which means more extra base hits, more exciting balls in play. While strikeouts were about the same, walks also decreased. Therefore, the non-walk and strikeouts, the ball's put in play more. And ball in play means it's more fun. But not only does moving the mound back affect it, moving the mound lower has shown in the MLB that it did affect it in a positive offensive way. In 1968, they lowered the mound, and offense increased. The ERA went from a 2.98 ERA to above a 3.5. So it is proven and would increase offense better than banning the shift would.
So you're saying instead of banning the shift. Now, what do you got against banning the shift?
I think that banning the shift gives too much to the offense and unadaptability. With moving the mound back and lower, you have to hit off-speed pitches with more movement, but you have more of a reaction time. Instead of just giving them more spots to hit it on the field, you still have to be a good hitter and be able to adjust to the pitch. You just have to adjust with slightly more time.
Okay. All right. I like that. Very well thought out. Thank you, sir. All right. Luke Westfall, what's your hot baseball take?
All right, so.
It better not be as scientific as that last one, let me tell you.
All right, well, not as much science. It's my hot take. A lot of you may know that this year in the MVP race, most valuable player, you're looking at like Judge. And obviously there's Ohtani there for the Angels fan over there, Fish. But
Thank you.
my hot take.
Everyone, point and laugh. Point and laugh.
Longest playoff.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
My take is not specifically MVP, but rather that Jose Ramirez from the Cleveland Guardians,
Really, Fish?
Cleveland baseball team,
Not on my show. You're going to be held in contempt. Keep it up. All right, go ahead, Luke.
is the most valuable player to his team in the MLB. And by this, I don't mean he is going to win MVP. That is not my take. My take is that no one is more valuable to their team right now, or in really the last since 2016, than Jose Ramirez. It's a no doubter that Trout and Ohtani can't save the Angels, so they're not in conversation. Judge is great, but he hasn't been as good lately as Ramirez over a stretch since 2016. Ramirez being third in WAR. Also, I mean, you can just use the eye test. If anybody watched the first wild card game, they would have noticed that the Guardians went winning with Bieber pitching and a 2-run Jose Ramirez home run. It's pretty much how the Guardians offense has been running ever since they got him. They don't make trades. They don't sign big name players. All they do is rely on him. In fact, 29 home runs this year, 15th in runs obviously, but third in the MLB in RBIs. He even somehow stole 20 bases, usually plays above average defense, but he is the life force of that offense. And even though he's not always going to win MVP, he's usually fantastic. But if you want MVP numbers, he did finish second in MVP voting in 2020 and sixth last year, and of course was an all-star this year. So he does still have the accolades and the numbers to back it up.
I'm going to stop you right there. Okay. So
Well, do we have our first objection?
Is this an objection? Okay, I'll object to that take.
All right.
In your take, you said that no one has been more valuable to their team than Jose Ramirez. Let me remind you that this year, Shohei Ohtani led the Angels in starts, in wins, in ERA, and in batting average, and I think he was second in home runs to Mike Trout. There is no, thank you, Angels. There's no way. Jose Ramirez doesn't get on the mound. He's not a pitcher. He is a hitter only, meaning Shohei, as a two-way player, has to be more valuable, especially when he leads the team in both pitching and hitting.
Yeah, the issue is that the Angels suck. So
That's not
the biggest point behind my argument is that the Guardians win games, and if they didn't have Jose Ramirez, they wouldn't be winning games. He is the driving force behind their offense, because you can have great pitching, but you have to have some offense. And the reason why the Guardians win games, why they're in the playoffs, why they're in the second round right now, is because of Jose Ramirez. And even though Ohtani is a fantastic player with great stats, he cannot, even with the help of Mike Trout, he cannot drag that offense and that team to the playoffs.
No, but you say Jose Ramirez is the driving force behind the Guardians' offense. That's true. But Shohei Ohtani is the driving force behind the Angels' offense and the starting rotation. Look, the Guardians are all around a better team than the Angels. Sorry, Fish. That's fair. But we all know this. You look at starters like Shane Bieber, Tristan McKenzie. That's a good 1-2. That's as good of a 1-2 punch as anybody in the league. And you look at the other guys who start for Cleveland. You got Stephen Kwan. There's a chance he might win Rookie of the Year. Julio obviously is going to win it, but Kwan will receive some votes. You got Ahmed Rosario, who's having a bounce-back season. Jose Ramirez, like you said. Josh Naylor, Oscar Gonzalez just hit a walk-off home run. So there's a lot of good pieces around Jose Ramirez, and that's why the Guardians win more games than the Angels, because the Angels, sorry, Fish, just suck.
Yes, but the other element to the argument is the consistency since 2016 with Jose Ramirez doing this every single year. They don't ever add to help. The Angels are constantly spending a bunch of money to bring in guys. And so he's consistently having to do this on his own every year. At least Ohtani in the lineup has a partner that he's done it consistently with the last couple of years in Trout. Whereas, yes, there has been some help for my guy here, that for some reason is Jose Ramirez, whatever. Jose Ramirez has had some help this year, but not in the past.
Don't speak over the judge. I just hit the gavel. I've heard enough. I've heard enough. Okay. All right. Andrew, glad I brought you onto the show, buddy. First stop, Kilgore's Court. Next stop, MLB Network. All right. Andrew, speaking of which, thank you, Luke. I do appreciate. I love the evidence. Andrew, after that impassioned speech, what do you got for me?
So not only should Jose Altuve not be booed, we as fans owe him an apology.
Oh.
And I know this is coming from a Mariner fan. And I know that Mariner fans and Angel fans and really AL West fans and Yankee fans and White Sox fans basically all of baseball hates Jose Altuve, hates the Astros. But let me tell you something. Okay, Jose Altuve never cheated. And there is a fantastic video.
Objection!
Let me get through.
Hold on, sustained. We're going to let him finish, and then you will have your retort.
Thank you, Fish. Jose Altuve never cheated, okay? And there's a video online, if you want to look at this. I'll cite what this guy's saying. There's studies done.
Is it by Andrew Fry 333?
It is not. It is not. It's by Baseball Doesn't Exist. You haven't seen this video, you should look it up.
Okay, that's a good channel.
It's very good, yes. And what they did, he cited a study done by a couple of researchers. Jose Altuve, right? Everybody knows about the trash can banging. They go bang, bang, it's off speed, right? Jose Altuve had the lowest number of trash can bangs on the entire team, with 24, and 24 throughout the season. People go through and look at these things.
Baseball doesn't exist.
Baseball doesn't exist, yes, exactly. And those 24 probably weren't even 24 because they could have been other stadium noises. It's impossible to tell what they actually were. But on certain occasions, there was a breaking ball thrown by James Paxton in May of 2017 or 2018 of the Mariners. When Jose Altuve heard a bang before the pitch, he took the pitch as a strike, even though he knew it was going to be a curveball, because that's how the Astros did it. They had their side, they had the camera, they relayed it to an app, and then they'd bang the trash can if it was an off-speed pitch. Jose Altuve never heard these bangs, or he seldom did, and when he did, he stepped out of the box or he took the pitch. And after that pitch thrown by James Paxton, what did Altuve do? He took it for a strike, he stepped out, and he stared daggers right into the Houston dugout. There is great evidence to support that Jose Altuve was, yes, complicit in the cheating scandal, whereas he didn't come out and support it. But there is no evidence that he actually cheated. Now, obviously, the biggest evidence, I know what you're about to say, is the electronic buzzer when he hit the home run off of Aroldis Chapman in 2019.
Don't take my jersey off. I have a buzzer in here.
Can I finish, please? Can I finish, please?
Yes.
Thank you. That's the most damning evidence for Jose Altuve. But if you listen to his story, he said that, quote, well, actually, it's not a direct quote, but he said that he said his wife would get mad at him. But he changed that story because he didn't want the world to know that he had a bad tattoo. And there are pictures of pictures of this tattoo that you can look at. There are pictures that you can look at. There's that tattoo right here, right on his collarbone, and it's bad. According to Carlos Correa, it looked pretty terrible.
What is the tattoo?
I don't know. I didn't get it.
Come on.
Okay.
But there are pictures of the tattoo right there. Also, another thing. There is absolutely zero evidence to prove that the Astros even used electronic buzzers in the first place.
Didn't they do a whole investigation?
Yes, they did, and they found that nobody used electronic buzzers. Therefore, Jose Altuve did not hear any trash can bangs. The electronic buzzer was a fake story, and we've been booing him for all these years based on nothing.
Well,
he deserves an apology.
Well,
he
did. I'll give you just one moment here.
Okay.
So, you're telling me he did not hear trash can bangs, but from what you said, it sounds like he knew about it, but yet his integrity made him not.
I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up. Jose Altuve has one of the greatest come-up stories in all of baseball. He comes from the poorest country in South America. He is 5'5" tall, right? Shortest guy in the big leagues, right? The Astros, he tried out for a bunch of different teams. The Astros, it took him 3 separate tryouts for the Astros finally to accept him and say, yes, we'll get you, we'll even get you a tryout, right? And so he came up with the Astros. Obviously, he is loyal to the Astros because they said, we're going to give you a shot. And Jose Altuve came up into the league in 2011, meaning he's been playing 6 or 7 years, maybe even 8 years, by the time that the cheating scandal came out. Now, most of that core, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, George Springer, most of those guys have been there many years. And if you can sit here and tell me that you're going to go to the press and rat out your closest friends on the planet and ruin their careers, can you do that? I couldn't do that. I don't think many of us could do that. Are you going to rat out your closest friends and destroy their baseball lives?
Wow. All right. Thank you, Andrew. Mason, objection, buddy. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, yes, you bring up the buzzer and stuff, but also there was this whole stat that said the batting average at home for the Astros was significantly better than what they were on the road.
You're right. The Astros cheated.
Yes, they did,
but
including Jose Altuve.
He did
You
not.
can't just say that, he didn't hear the trash cans. He knew it was happening.
He did. But that doesn't mean he
So he's
cheated.
just
He knew
protecting
the
his
cheating-
own image
He knew the
instead of the
cheating
rest of the
was
team?
happening. He was protecting his teammates. He knew the cheating was happening, but he did not cheat himself. He was complicit in it, but
That's
he did
so-
not partake in it.
Luke
And we owe him an
Westfall,
apology.
do you also have an objection?
Yes, so I also have an objection. I think that your take, the fact that Jose Altuve did not cheat through a specific lens where the only thing that you're looking at was when Jose Altuve was up to bat, when he was zoned in looking at the pitcher, whenever this time was, whenever the cheating was going on, whether he specifically used the buzzer, listened to trash cans, or saw a blinking light in center field, that he did not do that. Based on your evidence, I think that there could be a case for that. But in general, the take as a whole, and relating to what Luke said about the integrity of Jose Altuve, and you mentioned, he's not going to rat out his closest friends, but I have seen over the years players be on teams that are bad because of their record or because of the culture, and they demand trades. Or players want a bigger contract, and they demand trades. Or they, rat out bad behavior or a bad culture in their clubhouse. So you're telling me that he knows that he has an unfair advantage in every single game. He has the ability to have it, and every single teammate that he has on offense also has it, and yet he just sits there in silence. So he is a massive part of the problem, because if you're not the solution in that specific case where your team is then going on to win a World Series that is not getting any sort of anything, none of the players are punished other than the manager and the GM. And so I think he is just as big of a part of the problem. So under the specific spotlight of him at the plate, maybe he didn't cheat, but in the overall picture, the Astros cheating scandal, he is just as big of a problem and just as big of a factor as the rest of his teammates.
All right, I'll tell you this. And that's a good point. You're right. The Astros cheated, and Jose Altuve was complicit.
Hold on. I apologize. No more counter objections here. Okay, gotta let it rest. Mason, I thank you, gentlemen. That was very passionate. I myself will never be apologizing to Mr. Altuve, but
As will
I really respect the take. It's hot. It is piping hot. All right,
You
Mason
asked for hot
Fishel.
takes. I'm here to deliver.
It is piping. Yes.
All right. My
Mason.
hot take. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim
Oh,
in
boy.
2023 will win the World Series.
Do I get another objection?
Yeah, me
I don't
too.
know if
Why?
it's necessary. Go ahead.
Why? Let me tell you. It is the last, it could be the last chance for Shohei Ohtani to,
It's
play
his
for the
last year as an
Angels.
Angel. Don't get
It
me. Yeah.
is probably his last
Unless
year
they
as an
win a
Angel,
World Series.
And it's probably, it's World Series or bust at this point. Because, Mike Trout, he's probably going to be out if the Angels don't make the playoffs at all. We don't know that yet. However, let me tell you, it's not just Ohtani and Trout that can carry this team. Taylor Ward broke out this season. He did pretty good at the beginning of the season also. This is a healthy Angels team is a good Angels team. They started off very hot in the month of April. And Anthony Rendon, when he's healthy, he can hit home runs lefty. He could do that all I care. He could do all that too. Also Joe Adele, when he's healthy, when he learns how to throw a baseball, he's going to be great out there in the outfield. You can talk about your pitching all you want. Pitching's not been the strong suit for the Angels. However, the GM this past draft drafted 20 pitchers. 20. And surely a few of them have to hit, right? Surely.
Not next
I mean-
year.
Not necessarily.
There's still a few teams that, a few players that made their debuts, like Reed Detmers threw a perfect game. Not perfect game, no-hitter, I think. You have Griffin Canning coming back. You have, you still have Shohei Ohtani. He still had a good season this past season with, leading the Angels in wins and ERA, all that stuff. There's a young pitching core that's ready to explode in a good way.
Whew. Okay, so your reasoning is they just have to.
They just, yeah, they have to.
I think I've come to my decision. I think I've come to my decision. No. Oh. Mason Fishel.
No.
Boy, you looked handsome up there. But the take was not pretty. Please turn off your microphone. You were dismissed. Thanks for being here.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Yep.
Thank you, Fish. I appreciate the take. It was just
All right.
bad.
You hate to see it. Okay. All right, now, next round. I want your basketball take now. We're going to be going a lot shorter this time, gentlemen.
Yes.
All right. 2 people have already used their objections. Goodbye, Mason. Brandon, you're the only person with an objection left. You may start. Basketball hot take, go.
All right, my hot take is that not only did the Blazers make the right decision in trading C.J. McCollum, but they should have traded Damian Lillard a year before they traded McCollum. Now, my take is based on the fact that the Blazers will not win with their current core, and they have no chance to. They might not even make the playoffs. And that is because Lillard, great player, except for the fact that McCollum was taking away from his opportunities, and, frankly, I didn't think McCollum was that good. And now the exact same thing is happening with Anthony Simons. Now, it is based on the fact that without C.J. McCollum, Damian Lillard averaged 30 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds a game. And with McCollum, frankly, dropped down 26 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. That's just not going to work. His usage percentage before McCollum got traded was at 30%. Now, it's at 30% because Anthony Simons is a slightly younger and slightly better version than C.J. McCollum, but the same exact problems with the flow of the offense and 2 ball-dominant guards playing alongside each other is still prevalent. And frankly, his supporting cast is just not good. Yusuf Nurkic, he's injury-prone. He hasn't been the same since his leg injury. His stats have dipped. We've never had a good wing. It's been difficult. Our bench depth is terrible. And frankly, the Blazers should have realized that although Lillard wants to play his career here, if they want to rebuild and they want to eventually win, it's not going to happen with Lillard. It's not going to happen with the current core. That's my hot take.
Okay. All right. I think there's something to that.
It's a solid take.
Okay. No objections from either of you, obviously. Luke Westfall, go ahead.
All right, so my take is that the team that resides in Arizona that was the number 1 seed in last year's NBA playoffs, in fact, they actually went 64-18 before flaming out because of several, underperformances from players like Chris Paul and others. It's that the
Why are you
Suns-
being so cryptic about the Phoenix Suns right now? Is it just stylistic?
The Phoenix Suns will miss the playoffs in next year's NBA season. And the reason why is I think that, one, you mentioned cryptic. The culture in Phoenix, I think, is taking a dive, and I think it stemmed maybe from last year's playoffs, but I don't have any evidence of that. But I do have evidence of the fact that they so badly wanted to get Kevin Durant. That didn't happen because they wanted to use DeAndre Ayton as a trade piece. But then the Pacers decided, hey, we like DeAndre Ayton. And so the Suns got roped into having to re-sign him. They matched the offer with the Pacers because they can't lose him, because what are you going to do? Not be able to trade him for Kevin Durant and lose DeAndre Ayton? You can't do that. So they have to keep Ayton. Ayton doesn't want to be there. There were a lot of concerns at the end of last year with Ayton and the coaching staff and vice versa and all this kind of stuff. And now Ayton's there when he wanted to be in Indiana, obviously, and they wanted to use him as a trade piece, but then they forcefully had to keep him. So I think the culture is going down there. Also, I mentioned Chris Paul, and I think that this could be a separate hot take in itself, but I think one of the biggest reasons why they won't make the playoffs is because I predict that next year in age 38 season will be Chris Paul's true, statistically obvious signs that he is falling off. Because last year, he was averaging his lowest points per game in his career, 14.7, lowest three-point percentage, 31.7, second lowest free throw percentage at 83.7, and he just wasn't grabbing as many rebounds, which shows he either isn't as good at rebounding or he's older, so he's not carrying as much. His assists might have gone up, but he's more of a system point guard now at this point, and I don't think he's enough to kind of be that two-headed guard monster with Devin Booker at this point. Not to mention, I think that a lot of teams in the West are revamping for this season. I think that the Lakers will be a lot better with AD healthy and some additions on that team. The Nuggets get Jamal Murray back. The Clippers get Kawhi Leonard back. The Warriors are still there. I think that he mentioned the Trailblazers won't be as good, but they made some additions. The T-Wolves adding Rudy Gobert. I think the West is a lot better as well, and so I don't think the Suns will make the playoffs.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Brandon, you want to use your objection, sir?
I do. So, missing the playoffs, I think, it's a solid. I understand where it's coming from, but I absolutely do not see it. At minimum, there is 7-8 seed, top of the play-in. And I see that because last season, first seed, 64 wins, 32-9 at home, and 32-9 on the road, showing that they can play not only at home, they can play incredibly well on the road. Now, to get to the play-in, you just have to be better than 5 teams. Houston Rockets, Oklahoma City Thunder, Portland Trail Blazers, Sacramento Kings, the Utah Jazz selling, and then, frankly, the Spurs aren't going to be good, and the Pelicans always underperform, and I don't know. I see them as a top 8 team. And that is because Monty Williams, great coach. Yes, he lost some favor with the players, but with the talent that's on the roster, he doesn't need to have them all happy. It will help them play better, but they're still going to win 40 games, even if everybody's upset. DeAndre Ayton may be a trade piece, but he's a young, one of the best centers in the league. Devin Booker, great regular season player. And frankly, it doesn't matter how they played in the playoffs. They just had to be good in the regular season. And then Cameron Johnson and Mikal Bridges, 2 of the best defensive wings in the league. They could be Defensive Player of the Year. Maybe Chris Paul becomes 50% of the player that he needs to be. He just needs to be a facilitator. He doesn't have to score at all. He's a great passer, and you really don't lose that skill with age. That's my rebuttal.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the objection, sir. Andrew, one thing that you could probably say, though, for the Phoenix Suns, Sarver, not a good person. Maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know. All right, Andrew Frey, what is your NBA or basketball take?
So I will keep this very simple. College basketball is better than NBA basketball, and it is not even close. It is not even close.
Not
That's
close.
what makes this hot. It's not close. March Madness is the greatest sporting event of the year, even when we're in an Olympic year. You got all the countries in the world competing for gold medals, but March Madness still takes the cake, in intensity. Now, obviously, I'm a baseball fan. I like October baseball as much as the next guy, but March Madness beats not only October baseball, it beats the entire NBA playoffs. Now, if you're going to take an opening round March Madness game, I would compare that to Game 7 of the MLB of the World Series, and then Game 1 of the NBA Finals is more like a consolation game in the Little League World Series. That's the amount of different levels of intensity that exist between NBA basketball and college basketball. Not only are we seeing fewer great players, right? I wasn't around for the days of Jordan or Will. None of us were. But we do get to see LeBron, and he's been bad lately. There's no sugarcoating that. The Lakers missed the playoffs by a wide margin last year. But the stories around the NBA, too, and I want to get to this quickly. The stories around the NBA are less focused on the games because, NBA games, MLB games, sports leagues in general, they are entertainment. They are television shows, right? And when you have stories, like the beat reporters writing about, the headline is Kevin Durant says this after loss, or it's not the Nets lost. The Nets, that's not the headline. Kevin Durant said this about his teammates. That's the headline. That's how you know there's a problem, when you are focusing on what people are saying more than the actual product of the game themselves. College basketball is a whole lot less selfish, and it's a lot more exciting. And I think that more people need to tune into this.
NBA is my favorite soap opera, personally. I don't know. Okay, I think I'm about right. Brandon, remind me one more time. What was your?
Lillard and
Lillard should have
McCollum.
gone earlier. Okay. Well, I think a lot of people might agree with you on that one, buddy. A lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people in that boat too. College basketball, NBA. I don't know. Also, the Phoenix Suns not going to the playoffs is preposterous. So, all three of you have put me in a terrible position. Now, I'm going to have to go with the take that's possibly the coldest. Brandon, you're gone, my friend.
You're missing out on a great football take. I'm just saying.
We might have to go behind the scenes for you. We might have to go, but for now, you have to go. So long, my friend. All right, folks, take a good look. These two are your finalists. Now, who will win? Who will come out on top? You're going to have to find out in the next episode. See who's going to come home with the last Juror Standing Award on the next episode. But for now, we've got more Kilgore's Court coming up. Stay tuned. Did you know Kilgore's Court has merch? Make sure you check out this sick baseball tee, plus all sorts of other t-shirts, hats, yes, even baby onesies. We've got something for everybody on the website below. Just make sure you check out that link, and you can get access to Kilgore's Court merch, as well as all of the other WSN shows. All the shows, all the merch, all the time. All right. Order. Now, last episode, you remember last Juror Standing. Little did I know that we had some long-winded contestants. So now, we have to have the finals right here, right now, on Kilgore's Court. Yes, this is my decision stool still. Yes, the budget, still not great. All right, please welcome back Luke Westfall and Andrew Frey. Hello again, gentlemen. Hey, that's awful nice of you, for consistency's sake, to wear the same exact outfit that you wore on last episode.
Well, you're welcome, of course.
Yeah.
I like to present myself the same way.
I mean, I slept, bathed, have worn this for a long time now, so.
Yeah, that's very kind of you guys, just for the sake of the show. All right, so for those who missed it, I'm looking for the hottest takes. Now, both of these guys have given me their hottest takes on baseball and basketball. Now, it is time for them to give me their hottest takes on football. Gentlemen, don't worry about objections. This is merely a debate. I will let you know when the time is over with, but we're going to start with Luke.
Okay, so for my take, I double dipped in a barrel that I used from my basketball take, just because, and especially I was building it up, and then I watched more evidence of it unfold on the weekend on Sunday, and it was just too perfect. So my take lies as the defending Super Bowl champion in the center of the NFL world, with NFL headquarters being in LA, defending champions. Los Angeles Rams will end up missing the now expanded 17 playoffs. And the reason for this, everybody might think, well, they're so star-studded. Obviously, Stafford, Kupp, Donald, Ramsey, lots of talent. They won the Super Bowl, but here's the problem. First off, their big-powered offense is 26th in yards. They're last in rushing yards, 29th in points per game, 18th in passing, 29th in turnover differential at -5. They're currently tied with the Colts for the most sacks allowed, and they are with 21. They're on pace for 71, which would be 26 more than Stafford's career worst. And Stafford currently has his third worst career QBR, and he already has 7 interceptions, which is on pace for his career worst, 23.8 interceptions. Kupp is their only offensive weapon right now. Both of their running backs are averaging under 30 yards per game. And Allen Robinson, who they used the leftover money they had from not being able to sign Von Miller on, has been a non-factor. And whether you want to say Allen Robinson is bad or that he just doesn't get thrown to is up to you, but he hasn't done anything. Tyler Higbee's their second most productive wide receiver, and he's dropped about 1,500 passes so far this year. I watched one game where he dropped 2 passes on consecutive plays a couple of weeks ago. And they used Ben Skowronek, a former 6th-round pick out of Notre Dame, as their second wide receiver and a fullback. So things aren't exactly humming on offense under the quote-unquote mastermind, which he has been in the past but is not anymore, in Sean McVay, because he can't even figure out, with this bad of an offensive line and this talent poor of an offense, what to do. Not to mention the Niners, Cardinals obviously competitive. The NFC East is super competitive, with the Giants coming out of nowhere, the Cowboys rebounding, beating them, Packers and the Vikings very competitive this year, and of course the Buccaneers. And I'm starting to wonder if they can beat out teams like New Orleans and Seattle, the bottom feeders of that playoff picture. So my take is that the Rams will miss the playoffs this season.
Yeah, I don't think that's very surprising, especially because Matthew Stafford is aging. I mean, he's an old man. He's not Tom Brady old, but he is up there in age. Is it any surprise that at some point he was going to start declining? I mean, this guy is no Justin Verlander. He's no Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers is up there in age. He's still producing, although this year, it's up and down for the Packers so far. So I think, the NFL these days is so quarterback heavy. If you don't have a good quarterback, unless your name is the San Francisco 49ers, you're going nowhere. And if Matthew Stafford can't figure it out, can't come together, then yeah, of course the Rams aren't gonna miss the playoffs. I like your take. It's a well-founded take, but on the hotness scale, it's kind of cold.
Okay. Andrew, your take, sir.
Okay, I'll keep this very simple. Again, like my basketball take. Russell Wilson is a toxin to a team. He is poisonous. Geno Smith should have started over him last year. And I know it's hot. I know it's hot. It's hot. And Geno is a better clubhouse presence than Russell. Yes, we know Russell Wilson ends off every interview with "Go Hawks," or at least he used to. And now it's, what is it, Broncos country, let's ride? That sounds dumb, right? Geno Smith this year has the highest completion percentage in the entire league. Who saw this out of a guy who was the Jets quarterback? The Jets have been bad for years. He sucked with the Jets for a while, and then he was a backup.
He even got punched in the face. He even got punched in the face.
He did. Yeah, he did. Yeah. And so then he comes back with the Seahawks finally. He finds a way to get back in the league. Everybody thought at the beginning of the year it was going to be Drew Lock. Drew Lock's going to be the guy. Nobody really had confidence in him, but we all thought he was going to be the guy to start. Geno Smith, no, he won this job. He won this job over Drew Lock, which is not very hard to do because it's Drew Lock. But at the end of the day, he has become one of the greatest passers in the league right now. And again, the Seahawks' strength of schedule is middle of the road. You can't say much about it. But at the end of the day, Geno, let's look at the interviews. When Geno has an interview, and I'll get back to, hold on one second. When Geno has an interview, it's always about we. We talk about the Seahawks. We talk about the team. And Russell, he tried to do that, but it was always about him. The past few years, there's always been controversy in the offseason. Is Russell going to leave? Russell wants out. Then he says, I don't want out. And then it ends up, he does actually end up wanting out because he doesn't like Pete Carroll or the ownership or whatever have you. So I think going forward, the Seahawks are in a better place without Russell Wilson than they are with him. And I am glad he's gone.
Yeah, so honestly, if I have to be completely honest here, I agree with that take in 100%, honestly. I mean, your details for it are great. I think here's the thing. So the problem with Russell Wilson, is he a good teammate or not? Russell Wilson, the reason why the media always thought he was a great teammate is not just because of his on-field appearance and not just because he would always hype up the rest of the players on his team through the majority of his career, but also because of some of the things that he did off the field, going to children's hospitals, donating to good causes, doing work in the community. And so that obviously makes him a slightly better person, a big reason why people immediately had that image of him. And also because he consistently had stayed with the team. And a lot of people would probably tell you that, the reason why he's a great teammate is because he stuck with a team that even when they were not supplying him with the resources that he needed, whether it be offensive line or defense or coaches or whatever, that he still stuck with that team anyways. And so I think that there is a fair point to be made about Russell Wilson as maybe forcing his way out. But overall, I just think that Russell Wilson is a great guy. And I think that most of his morals in the end, once he got that ring, once he had a bunch of that success, set some of those records and built that foundation there, his ideas of his career, just like a lot of elderly quarterbacks, even Tom Brady, was that he's getting towards the end of his tenure and he wants to go make some more money and play for a team somewhere else where he can get that contract, and they have told him that they're going to be getting everything that he wants, that he feels confident that it's going to be about him moving forward as the focal point of the offense and not the rest of the team so much, because the Seahawks were not going to give him that extension and overall ended up being more mutual.
So do you agree that Geno Smith should have started last year?
I do not think that is the case at all. I think that, first off, you cannot start a guy that is your backup that you're paying $1 million when you're paying as much money as you do to Russell Wilson. You can't do it for the face of your team. Fans will not like it. And we wouldn't have found any of this out about Russell Wilson last year had Geno Smith started, and there was no evidence to start Geno Smith because it was a battle between Geno and Russell Wilson, the franchise quarterback from the Seahawks, not Geno and Drew Lock like it was this year. So he definitely should not have started last year, and maybe Russell Wilson forced his way back from his injury a little early, but I still think that playing Russell Wilson is the move that they needed to make, should have made, and was the right decision at the time.
Okay. Listen, not everyone likes the person who asks for homework at the end of class. Not everyone likes the goody two-shoes. So I get it. I appreciate both of you guys' takes. But now it's time for one winner. Luke or Andrew? Okay, so Rams aren't going to make the playoffs at all, or the Seahawks should have started Geno Smith last year. That's essentially the core of your team.
And it's a good thing they got rid of him.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can agree with that. Okay. All right. Your winner and new last juror standing is the one, the only, the great Andrew Frey. Andrew Frey, last juror standing. Any words? How proud of you are of this accomplishment?
You know, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you asked me on the show, and I'm happy that I came up with these takes. Now, you know, I respect all my fellow competitors. I think they were all fantastic, and you know, I'm glad I found a way to edge them out.
All right, well, be a little less enthusiastic if you can, okay? All right. Now, Andrew going to have to defend his title. So tune in to the next episode, or whenever we do Last Juror Standing again, so he can defend his title as Last Juror Standing. All right, folks, we've got more Kilgore Score coming up next. Stay tuned.
Shoot up, shoot up, shoot up, shoot up.